Good evening. On the world news tonight on BGI TV Current, I am Morire Rabila Lawal. First are the major headlines. President Trøùble announces Gbajabiamila Akume as Chief of Staff. I don't mind working with President Trøùble to develop Nigeria, Bode George. NLC to embark on nationwide strike on Wednesday. Our next headline for today, our death sentence given to Hilton Honor Hotel owner Adedoyin relieved my pain. Ohaneze lists 13 demands from Trøùble as he assumes office. Heavy security at Ondo Assembly as Speaker denies resignation. And lastly on sports, Flying Eagles arrive Santiago del Estero for South Korea clash at quarterfinal of the 2023 Under-20 World Cup in Argentina. Now the news in detail. President Bola Ahmed Trøùble has officially appointed Femi Gbajabiamila, the current Speaker of the House of Representatives, as his Chief of Staff. The information report that George Akume has been chosen to serve as the new Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF. The President also appointed Senator Ibrahim Asad Adeja, a former Deputy Governor of Jigawa State, as Deputy Chief of Staff. President Bola Ahmed Trøùble made the announcement in a meeting with the Progressive Governors Forum, PGF, on Friday. A statement signed on Friday by the State House Director of Information, Abiodun Oladojoye, titled President Trøùble appointed Gbajabiamila, COS, Senator Ibrahim Adeja, DCOS, George Akume, SDF, also confirmed the appointment. In a meeting with Progressive Governors Forum, the President also named former Governor of Benue State and immediate past Minister of Special Duties, George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the statement read. The appointment followed days of intense speculation surrounding key positions under the new administration. But Gbajabiamila's selection as Chief of Staff suggests that he will not be running and returning to his seat in the House of Representatives despite his recent re-election. Going on to the next story. Bode George, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party and a long-time arch-rival of Bola Trøùble, says he is ready to work with the new president. Asked if he would consider serving the country if appointed by Mr. Trøùble, Mr. George said he would not mind serving the country under the new president's administration because he has nothing personal against him. My reaction, like I have said, there is nothing personal. I trained in the military. You know, in the military, whoever is in the trench next to you is your brother, Mr. George explained. The PDP chieftain added, when you go out to say what is our mission in the military, it is to defend our country. If Trøùble comes and say, look, what do you feel about this and what you have, I would want to work with him. Mr. George, who had vowed to renounce his citizenship if Mr. Trøùble became Nigeria's president, disclosed this in an interview with journalists at his office in Ikoyi, according to a leadership newspaper report on Friday. At a press conference on March 19, 2022, Mr. George said, if by whatever chance he gets to the villa, I won't be part of this country. And I'm not joking, I can go to Ghana and be watching with binoculars from afar. You will see what will happen, says Bode George. Moving on to the next story as regards the NLC. The Nigeria Labour Congress NLC has declared a nationwide strike from next Wednesday. This comes amid fuel shortages across the country, a question by the President Bola Trøùble's inauguration speech in which he declared that fuel subsidy is gone. NLC President Joe Ajaero made the announcement after an emergency meeting of the union's National Executive Council met in Abuja. He said the government, particularly the Nigerian Petroleum Company (NPC) Limited, had up till Wednesday next week to revert to the old price of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol. Ajaero added that failure of the federal government to meet the ultimatum would attract an indefinite strike and protests across the country. On Monday, during his inaugural speech at the Eagle Square in Abuja, Trøùble said the era of subsidy payment on fuel has ended, adding that with the 2023 budget making no provisions for fuel subsidy, further payment was no longer justifiable. The presidential pronouncement led to an almost instant resurgence of fuel queues across the country, with Nigerians foraging for the premium product. Though Tinubu's decision received backing from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) and other representatives, it has since been resisted by the NLC and Trade Union Congress of Nigeria (TUC). According to the organized labor, the president cannot unilaterally take a decision on subsidy removal. TUC President Festus Osifo also argued that there was a reason for the immediate past administration of Muhammad Buhari pushed this sensitive issue to the new government. Next to the next story. The family of late Obafemi Awolowo University postgraduate student Timothy Adegoke has described the death sentence granted against the owner of Hilton Honors and Resort Hotel Ile-Ife, Abdurrahman Adedoyin, as a huge relief amid the gloom they had experienced for months and years. The hotelier was sentenced to death alongside two others found guilty of murder and conspiracy to kill Mr. Adegoke, a business administration MBA student. The chief judge in a judgment said the owner of the hotel and two of his workers, based on the circumstances of the case established by the prosecuting counsel, Femi Falana-San, are found culpable of conspiracy to commit murder and unlawful killing of the deceased. Several reporters have reported how Adegoke had lodged in Hilton hotels and resorts at Ile-Ife upon his arrival from Abuja on November 5th, 2021. To enable him to arrive early for his examination at the OAU Distance Learning Center, Moro, Osho State on November 6th and 7th, 2021. He later went missing and was found dead, buried in a grave following a police investigation into his disappearance. After Adegoke was declared missing, the police were invited and 7 suspects were arrested, after which an investigation commenced. In a phone interview with our reporters on Friday morning, the deceased wife, Bola Adegoke, characterized the court decision as a big relief after months of sorrow and years she had felt since her husband's death in 2021. She said, though, when I heard it, I was crying because if they kill all the family, it cannot bring back my husband. Secondly, I am happy that they gave the judgment right. The judgment reduced my pain, my fear, and everything. I was told he can go to appeal, but I don't think he has done that because we have not been served, she added. She mentioned further that the incessant adjournment of the trial was one of the challenges the family faced during the course of seeking justice for Timothy. During the trial, anytime I read that the sitting was adjourned, my mood would change. I always spoke to God on why an innocent man would be killed without justice, she said. A cousin of the deceased, Gabriel Ogunlano, equally said the bereaved family were delighted with the court judgment, but added that the vacuum Adegoke's death created had yet to be filled. He said it is the justice we are all seeking for, and we are happy that irrespective of his status, all pieces of evidence against him materialized. Moving on to the next story, and in case you're just joining, you are watching the world news from BGI TV Current. Next, the Ohanaeze Ndigbo has made 13 demands from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as he assumes office. Recall that Tinubu was sworn in as president on Monday at the Eagle Square in Abuja. However, Ohanaeze Ndigbo's Secretary General Okechukwu Izeguzoro said Tinubu should allow Igbo benefit from his economic policies. Izeguzoro also ordered the president to ensure the railway line from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri works. Speaking with Daily Post, Izeguzoro said the free market trade and postulations show that Igbos are majorly traders will benefit from his economic policies. It should look at the seaport and ensure no economic leakages. Tinubu should go for well-tested technocrats, not corrupt politicians, and he must ensure that those who will form the next government are not those who put Nigeria into this mess. Tinubu should not recycle old politicians based on party affiliation. The government of national unity is an antidote to those challenging his electoral victory in court. It should go beyond APC and bring its technocrats from PDP, LP, and NPP. And to the next story from the National Assembly. Armed security personnel have been deployed to the Ondo State House of Assembly complex situated in Alabaka area of Akure, the state capital. Information report that this move comes in response to the recent announcement of the purported resignation of Bamindele Oleyalogun, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, just days before the night assembly's tenure ends. The story is coming from the State Assembly, not the National Assembly, as said earlier. Eyewitnesses report that armed security personnel have blocked both entrances to the assembly complex, reinforcing security measures. Responding to the situation, Honorable Olugbenga Omole, Chairman of the House Committee on Information, confirmed the presence of armed security personnel at the assembly complex. Omole, however, dismissed any suggestion of the Speaker's resignation, asserting that the signature on the circulating letter was a forgery. The outgoing spokesman of the House expressed concerns about potential plot to disrupt its proceedings. From Ondo State, we'll go to the next story. Olumuyiwa Adejobi, the spokesman for the Nigeria Police Force, says his colleagues do not like him because he exposed their dirty deals. Simply because I block their dirty deals, the corrupt ones or wicked ones, police officers will never like me. But I am sure many of them will soon realize why an officer must be upright, decent, and just. It's a matter of time, Mr. Adejobi said. Mr. Adejobi made this statement on Friday in a tweet reacting to a Twitter user at Akume Stephen 9, who said, I once mentioned your name, Adejobi, when they asked me who is my, I beg your pardon, who is on my wallpaper, and I said your name. And what those police officers said was, he is a bird of the same feather with you people. I don't understand what they mean, sir. That's roundabout to your Express Road. They don't like you. Mr. Adejobi's statement reinforced many Nigerians' perception of the police as corrupt, with the rank and file seen as deep in extortion and extrajudicial activities. There are several allegations against the Nigerian police, with Amnesty International saying it is unfortunate that the Nigerian government continues to use enforced disappearance as long-standing tactics to silence critics and instill fear in civilian populations. From the police story, we go to the next story, coming from Oyo State, Ibadan precisely. The Oyo State Police Command has declared the sacked chairman of Park Management System (PMS), Mukaila Lamidi, aka Auxiliary, wanted, the authorities revealed in a media briefing on Friday today. The move follows another raid of his hotel where more dangerous weapons were recovered on Thursday. Information report that policemen had stormed Auxiliary's Ibadan residence, recovering weapons and ammunition. During the operation, the suspects reportedly escaped, while some of his lieutenants were, however, arrested by the police team. There was palpable tension in some parts of the state after the raid, especially in major car parks and garages in Ibadan, amid reports of an unconfirmed number of casualties during the face-off between the police and the PMS members.
Large in Ibadan. He is feared by many, but his wits finally ended days ago when the governor put spanner in his operations. Since this action, the full wrath of the law has been sweeping everything and everywhere linked to the once fearsome leader of the parks. The result is the parade of some suspects arrested by the police who attempted to create civil disturbance in Ibadan.
The Oyo State Police Command, in its proactive nature, while acting on intelligence-driven surveillance, were able to foil an attempt at creating widespread carnage and civil disturbance in the state by some members of the park management system, led by one Alhaji Mukaila Lamidi, aka Auxiliary, sequel to the immediate dissolution of the disciplinary committee of the park management system of the state.
Governor Seyi Makinde had, after his inauguration, announced the dissolution of the park management system, headed by Mukaila Lamidi, popularly known as Auxiliary. The former PMS boss, who was not satisfied with this action, made an attempt to unleash mayhem on some major parts of the metropolis, which was foiled by the police.
Were arrested in possession of sophisticated weapons, 724 cartridges, assorted charms, 33 mobile phones, and a sum cash of about 3,450,000 naira.
The commissioner of police says auxiliary escaped with some of his boys, while one of them was neutralized during the gun duel with the police. He wants residents of the state to cooperate with the police with the provision of useful information to help apprehend the sacked Parks Management System boss. Olaide Oyewole, TVC News.
9 people have died in clashes across Senegal, the Interior Minister said on Friday, after a court sentence firebrand opposition leader Ousmane Sonko to 2 years in jail. A conviction for corrupt youth may disqualify Sonko, President Macky Sall's fiercest opponent, from contesting next year's presidential election. The case has deeply divided Senegal, sparking sporadic but deadly violence that has battered the country's image of stability. After Thursday's verdict, clashes broke out between police and protesters. Buses were set alight in the capital, Dakar, and disturbances were reported elsewhere, including the city of Ziguinchor, where Sonko has been mayor since 2022. We have noted with regret violence that has led to the destruction of public and private property, and unfortunately 9 deaths in Dakar and Ziguinchor. Interior Minister Antonio Diome said on national television. 2 police officials told AFP on condition of anonymity that at least 3 of the deaths occurred at demonstrations in Ziguinchor, and policeman was stoned to death by young protesters in the capital, Dakar. Police fired tear gas from the back of a pickup truck at protesters in Dakar on June 1, 2023, during unrest following the sentence of opponent Ousmane Sonko. A former civilian servant, Sonko rose to prominence in presidential elections in 2019, coming third after a campaign that took aim at Sall and the country's ruling elites. He portrayed Sall as corrupt and a would-be dictator, while the president's supporters called Sonko a rebel rosa who has sworn instability. His initial arrest on rape charges in 2021 sparked several days of clashes, but left at least 12 people dead. The 48-year-old did not attend the trial and was absent when Thursday's judgment was handed down. He was presumed to be at his Dakar home, where he had been blocked in by security forces after being detained at the weekend. The court did not rule on whether he should be arrested, but after 2 years of a confrontation with authorities, the head of the Pasteur Patriot Party could now be arrested at any time, Justice Minister Ismaila Madior Faure told journalists. And from the forest story, we go to the sports story to end the world news, coming from BGI TV Current. Nigeria's Flying Eagles arrived in the city of Santiago del Estero Friday morning ahead of their quarter-final clash against South Korea. The 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup last 8 encounter is slated for the Estadio Único Madrid, the Soldays in Santiago del Estero on Sunday. South Korea booked a date with the Flying Eagles after a hard 4-3-2 win against Ecuador on Thursday night. The Flying Eagles earlier eliminated host Argentina 2-0 in the round of 16 contest. Sunday's encounter will be the third meeting between both teams at this level. Nigeria and South Korea have one victory each. The game will kick off at 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time. With the sports story, we end the world news this hour. Before we go, some interesting major headlines. President Tinubu announces Gbajabiamila Akume as Chief of Staff and Deputy. I don't mind working with President Tinubu to develop Nigeria, claims Bode George. NLC to embark on nationwide strike Wednesday. Our death sentence given to Hilton Hotel owner Rahman Adedoyin relieved my pain, wife of Timothy Adegoke. And on sport, Flying Eagles arrived Santiago del Estero for the clash against South Korea at the 2023 Under-20 World Cup in Argentina. For more updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is BGI TV Current. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell, select option all to access our broadcast. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawi Adebayo. Please like and follow the page for broadcast of your advert placements of your goods and services, coverage and event. Please dial the phone number streaming on your screen. for advert placements only. Thank you for watching. Jumat Mufida to all faithful Muslims all around the world. I am Mowri Rabila Lawal. Good evening.